Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome back to yet another episode on your favorite Little Slaw YouTube channel. So, today in this video, we are going to see how to use the Azure DevOps pipeline. So, we were using the Azure DevOps pipeline, the releases to build the code, or in fact, when it comes to the JMeter testing, we are using their releases to run the JMeter test, right? So we all do that now. And there is one thing which we really want to uh, make some changes, or when we really want to bring some updates or to make some value add to the scripting, the process of testing or the process of development. So every time when we make a change in the code and when we pull it to the repository, automatically the trigger should, like the code should get triggered and it should automatically start doing the testing instead of we coming in to the Azure DevOps and start running the test. So what if we have an option to run our code in different branches? Say for example, if you are having your code in a different environment, and automatically when you make, or when the developer makes the changes, automatically it kickstarts the running, or it kickstarts the test, and you do not want to wait until someone tells you that okay, the code is now ready and it's now pushed to the repository and you can now go and test. Instead, what if someone automatically, the developer automatically kicks in the code and the test starts to get triggered, it is running, and then at the end of the test you get your results. It looks fancy, right? Yeah, but do you think it's possible? Yes, it's possible. Anything is possible with the Little Sly YouTube channel. So today in this video we're going to see that. And before we move on to this video, this is me, your son Shanmugam. I welcome you all to a Little Sly YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Like this video, share the video with your friends, and comment if you have any questions and feedbacks. And in fact, I have got lots of comments and feedbacks in my previous videos. Thank you so much for your comments and your feedbacks and your questions as well. So now let's move on to this video. So the first step of it is I'm going to create a new project, and this is going to be a JMeter continuous deployment, right? So this can be, in fact, this same um, steps can be even used for a development. For a developer also can do this, right? So now I'm going to create, so this is going to be continuous deployment, and is going to be a private project. So let me click create, and I'm not going to touch mostly into the integration part of the Azure DevOps with any other IDE tools. So this video is completely prioritized on the continuous deployment, right? So let's go to the repos, and inside the repos we have the clone to computer, all the options where we can push an existing repository from command line. We have everything. So let me initialize this repository. So the repository is now created, and let me go to this three dots, click upload files, and let me bring in the if controller demo.jmx. This is the file which we are going to use for this video. So let me, so, and the branch name is by default it's main. So let me click commit, and the next thing is I'm going to in fact create another branch, so which is going to be a development branch. And so now we have two branches, one is the main and the other one is the dev. So now let's go to the releases. So let me go to the pipeline and then the releases. So let me create the releases here. So let me create a new pipeline for it. And when it comes to the artifact, I'm just going very slowly because most of the times I've got comments telling that I'm running very quick. So let me just go very slowly. So let me do it again. So going to the pipelines, going to the pipelines and coming to the releases, click on the releases, and here you can see if there are any pipelines previously, you won't see this message. But if you are creating your releases for the first time, then you might get this, that no release pipelines found, and I'm clicking on this new pipeline. And once you open or once you click the new pipeline, you'll get this template where you can select your template which you want. But I'm going to close this template. I'm just going to create on my own. So for that, I have clicked on add an artifact, and our code or our JMX script is in the Azure repo. So I'm selecting it. And then I'm going to the project, selecting the JMeter continuous deployment. The source is the, again, the same thing, the JMeter continuous deployment. And the default branch here is the main. So the main is the default branch in this example. So I'm clicking on add, and now we have got the JMeter continuous deployment. And now let me go to the add a stage. Let me close it again. So now we have got add a stage. Okay, sorry. Let me click empty job, and then let me close it again. So now you can see here we have got one job and 0 task. So let's go to this screen here after clicking on this stage 3. So now let me change this name to JMeter continuous testing, and under the agent's job I'm going to add the JMeter installer, which we all do in our JMeter testing. So I have not make any changes here. It's going to be the same thing. And then let me add my next job, which is the command line tool. I have the command already with me, so let me paste it. So here's the command, and this is the file name. Let me explain it just a moment. So here I have got the command, which is the JMeter -n-t, which will tell me the name of the test file, the test script which I'm going to use, and then the -l results.jtl will generate the reports. And under the advanced, I'm going to change the working directory to the work directory which we have created. And in the control options, I'm not making any changes. In the environment variables, no, not any of the changes, and in the output variables, no, we don't have any changes to be done here. So now the third part is, which we all know, which is the upload public artifacts. So publish release artifacts, let me add it. So this is for the reason where we can get the results in the logs. So let me choose this location. And in fact, I'm working on a part where we can download the logs which we are getting at this point. So that will actually help us to get the HTML report when you are running your test through the Azure DevOps. So now we are done. Let me save this release. And now let me create the release, and let's do a quick test to see how does it work. Also, we have to confirm whether it works fine. So let's go to the logs, do a deploy. Let's wait for a few seconds to see how this very basic thing that we have created is working. So let's wait for a few seconds to see how does it work. So now the download artifacts, the very first part is completed, and then the second part, which is the install JMeter 5.4.2, because that's the version we have used or we have configured in the tasks, the pipeline, the tasks. So that's the reason we're getting it. And now let's wait for the few more steps, which is the command line scripting and then the upload release artifacts. So yes, we have almost, yep. So the test is now completed and we have got the results. Everything is working fine. So where does the continuous deployment comes into picture? So when I go to the releases, so when I click on the releases here, so we are going to see some of the most interesting thing here. So let me click on the edit and then the pipeline. So now if you see on the top of this artifacts, there is a continuous deployment trigger. So let me click on it, and there were like two options, right? Can you see? So the first thing is enabling the trigger will create a new release every time a git push happens to the selected repository, and then we have the other one which is enabling this option will trigger a release every time a selected artifact is available as part of a pull request workflow. So let's first choose this one. I'll show you how does it work. So when I choose the first option, which is creating a release every time a git push occurs in the selected repository, and so this is actually the continuous deployment trigger part. So now when I add the include, so if anything is happening in the main branch, so this will actually trigger a, or this will actually create a release every time a git push occurs in the selected repository. So I've selected, okay, let's first do it for the dev. Okay, so I'll just change it to dev. So let's try this for dev, then let me close it. Let's save. So now it is saved, and so now let's go back to the repos, because as it's mentioned here, so what was mentioned, so let me just do a quick recap. So I clicked it. So when we create a release, oh sorry, this change, I mean, like whenever there is a change, or whenever there is a git push occurs in the selected repository, it will create a release, right? So let's go to the repo and go to the dev branch, because that's what I've selected, and then I'm in the controller. So let me make change to the numbers. So let me make it okay, let me click on edit, and let me make it change it to 2, and then I click commit, and now it's asking me whether I'm going to make these changes, or whether I'm going to update commit these changes in the dev. So I'm clicking on commit. So once I click on commit, let's go to the releases, and here you can see automatically the release 2 has got created, and in fact it starts to execute. So this is how exactly your continuous deployment works. So now I believe you would have understood what is happening. So whenever you make any change and the change is pushed to your branch, it can be your dev branch or it can be your main branch. So whatever branch you need, you can select the branch, and when there is a push to that branch, or whenever there is a commit that's happening, automatically the release will get created, and a new release will get created, and in fact it will get triggered like the way you see here. Everything is same, all the steps that is inside your release, inside your stage, will start to execute and it will start to run. So this is the most interesting factor which I wanted to share with you, and this is the most complex thing which most of us might miss, because this question might come up to you when you are in your interview asking for, like, how will you enable your continuous deployment, or how will exactly you do the continuous deployment. So this is some of the things which you have to remember. You have to remember that the artifacts will have this setting. So now the test is completed, and let's do the second interesting part of this video. So now we have got this part. So let me disable this, because I do not want this to happen. I just want to make another thing, the pull request trigger, right? And I'm going to select the main branch for this, and to enable this, there is one more thing we have to do, which is, let me just close this, and I would come back to the stage, and in this stage, if you see, I'm going to select the trigger. So after the release, this condition should work, and I'm not selecting any of the artifact filters. And in fact, if you want to schedule your execution, you can schedule it, and I can show this in the artifacts part. So the most important part here is the pull request deployment. So when I enable it, automatically my pull request will create or will trigger an execution. I'll show you. So for that, I have to enable the pull request deployment. And in fact, if you want someone in your team to review your code before it moves to the deployment, you can choose anyone in your team. And also you can set up the timeout as well, like you can set it up for 1 day or 1 hour or even 30 minutes. It's up to you, but this part, the pre-deployment approvals part, will help you to get your changes approved or rejected. And yep, that's how it works. And then we have got the gates, which will define the gates to evaluate before the deployment. So that's the deployment gates. And then we have got the deployment queue settings, where you can deploy the specific change, or you can even deploy unlimited changes. So for now, in this example, you're going to see only about the pull request deployment. So as you have seen, I have selected the pull request deployment, and now if you come back to the continuous deployment trigger, you can see one stages are enabled for pull request deployments, and you can enable a stage for pull request based on deployments in the pre-deployment condition of the stage. Until you make the change in here in the stage, this won't be possible, because otherwise it will be like showing you 0 of 1 stage or 0 of 2 stage. So now what we have did is, if there is a change, or if there is a pull request to the main branch, automatically your pipeline will start to execute. So let's now go back to the repo. So let's save it. I've saved it, and then let me go to the repos, and let me go to the main branch, and let me create a pull request. And so I'm going to have this as the title, and then everything is ready. So once I click on create, so now you can see the new release pipeline is in progress, which is the pipeline which we have created. So this, in fact, you can use it whenever you create your pull request, or whenever you make your changes in a different environment, and when you want to move your changes to the main environment, you can set this part, or set this uh, trigger to do a pre-validation, or to check your code, whether everything is working fine, or whether you can even run this trigger to check whether everything is all right. And you can write some test cases, or in fact you can write some a kind of a partial test cases to check everything works fine. So this you can even if you're running in terms of a performance test, so you can even use this as part of a smoke test before you merge it with your main branch. So this is how the pull request trigger works, and it's more interesting, and it's very interesting. In fact, if you really interested to try this, you can follow this video and try all these steps. And again, I'm telling you, it's like very interesting. And in fact, if you are a performance tester, or a performance engineer, or an Azure DevOps engineer, this will definitely help you in terms of building your repos. And I believe this video is useful, and in fact I think that's the area that we wanted to discuss today, and I have shown it to you. So if you see here, the processing gates, everything is working fine. Okay, I think there is some delays, but yeah, but this is how it works. So I believe the video is very useful to you. So until I meet you in our next video, it's bye bye from Ashin Shanmugam and Little Sla.